This is the 2020 Cadillac XT4. If you're considering buying one, I'm going to give you my review in the form of 10 things you need to know starting right now. If you're new to my channel, I do car, truck, SUV reviews. I also give my opinion about the auto industry. New videos every Monday. Let's get to the list about this Cadillac XT4. So first of all, the exterior. To me, the exterior looks updated, refreshed. I like the Cadillac design language. I like the teardrop lights that run down the sides of the front. They've kind of made that their design cue for most of their SUVs and sedans. I think that the blocky or chunky design is distinct in this segment. I'm not sure I'm as big of a fan about how kind of condensed or squished the design looks. They still have some of the design language from back when they did the fusion of art and design, or art and science, I think is what they called it. The door handles light up, the floor illuminates with the Cadillac symbol. Personally, I really like the way the sport trim looks. This is a luxury trim, so it's the base model for the XT4, one of three choices. And overall, I like the way it looks. I'm not as big of a fan of the chunky or stubby proportions, but that also gives it a unique look compared to a lot of what's out there. So number 9, speaking of what's out there, is the competition in this crossover space is so fierce. This segment is probably the largest selling or the largest targeted. Automakers make a lot of money on these SUVs because they're able to charge a premium and a lot of people buy them. So some examples, Mercedes, Lexus, the GLC, and the RX or even the NX, Audi, BMW, Jaguar, the list goes on and on. Additionally, all of the regular car makers or the non-luxury brands have an upscale trim. So in my opinion, the Ford Edge Platinum is absolutely on par with the finish of this. And so you bring in all those upper level trims of the base crossovers, and there's probably a couple dozen SUVs that you could compare this one to. And so the competition is really fierce. If you're considering buying one, I would make a list of, your top 5. Make sure you test drive all of them and see what really stands out to you. Each one is different, but it's so competitive. So take advantage of the fact that there's lots of cars available to you in this crossover SUV segment. All right, number 8, the power moonroof. So this thing is really big. It does run all the way back. I've seen some go back a little bit farther, but overall it's a nice sunroof. The option will cost you $1,700. Some other makers are a little bit less expensive, some a little bit more. I think it's worth it. It seems a little bit expensive, but it's a great addition. I think every luxury SUV should have a panoramic moonroof. All right, number 7, I'm going to jump back there and show you the room. So the back seat is roomy. It's nice. It has plenty of space to sit in for 2 adults. 3 adults would be a stretch. The cargo space in the back is adequate, but not great. The XT5 has less passenger space in the back, but quite a bit more trunk space. So depending on what your needs are, consider that in terms of your evaluation. I also found there to be some strange kind of nooks and crannies. In particular, in the door, there's this strange slot right here where you can fit. Not really sure what you're going to fit there. All right, number 6, The infotainment system, so this is using GM's kind of latest and greatest. It definitely is responsive and quick. I liked it. I feel like GM did a good job updating with their most recent. Previous to that, they were kind of falling behind a little bit. So the infotainment system's good. With that said, other makers like Lincoln have a brand-specific kind of luxury version of their operating system. This feels just like the one that was in the GMC Terrain. So I don't know that it feels premium. And this is the Cadillac brand. It's supposed to be the top of the line. They're definitely charging the top of the line price. I just didn't feel like the infotainment system was special. Additionally, this screen is unusually slanted down. I haven't seen one slanted quite this much. At first, I thought it was going to annoy me, but to be honest, it really didn't. It makes it a little easier to use. Perhaps the point of the design is so that your eyes are off the road for less time in order to navigate through a menu or change something. One other comment about the infotainment system. Actually, I'm going to save that for the gripes. All right, if you're new to my channel, I do car, truck, and SUV reviews of the cars that I rent, borrow, and own. I have new reviews every Monday. Consider checking out some of my other videos. Click subscribe if you're interested in checking out my reviews. Click the bell notification so you don't miss anything. New videos every Monday. Thanks for watching. Let's get back to the list. So number 5 is the safety features. I normally cover what's included. And so in this Cadillac, it does include the lane departure assist. It definitely will pull pretty well. It aligned with the road markers. I found it to be fairly accurate. One of the better that I've driven. Blind spot monitoring on both sides. They definitely work pretty well. The blind spot in this car is not as bad as other SUVs I've driven at this size. It also includes, for 2020, the emergency braking system. And so if it senses that you're not on the brakes and that the car in front of you is stopped or stopping, it will emergency slam on the brakes. Now I tested that and found it to have intermittent success. Finally, this vehicle does not have adaptive cruise control as standard. Now it is an option, but you can't get it with the luxury or the base version. You have to step up to the sport or the luxury premium. I'm disappointed in that. Cadillac Hyundai puts it in the Santa Fe standard. Adaptive cruise control is standard, and you don't even offer it as an option in the base XT4. That's disappointing. All right, number 4, let me tell you about the engine specs. So this is a 2.0 liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's got 237 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, a 9-speed automatic. Now this is equipped with the all-wheel drive system. So driving this vehicle for over 400 miles, I averaged about 23 miles per gallon. That's pretty decent. Turbo 4, it does take premium gas, so also keep that in mind. I found the engine to be peppy, fun to drive, not super powerful. You definitely get some torque steer from the front if you're trying to accelerate and turn aggressively at the same time, like if you're pulling out. Overall, I felt that the engine was competitive with this class for a base 4-cylinder. It had some zip. It's a lot better than some of the slower 4-cylinders, but it's by no means a V6 or something like that. All right, number 3, what's this vehicle like to drive? So the ride was quick, but also felt a little bit heavy, especially in the steering. The seat height is lower than some others that I've driven. The transmission is smooth and comfortable, and then the handling felt a little bit fluffy. You definitely feel that this is a crossover and not some kind of Cadillac. Having driven the ATS and reviewing that car earlier this year, that thing cuts like a knife. This drives nothing like that. It's a front-wheel drive, taller crossover. It's really not expected to, but I would not describe anything about this ride quality as feeling sporty. It feels luxurious, yes, but fluffy, soft. Even in sport mode, just didn't engage the way that I would typically like to see, but that's just my driving preference. All right, number 2, the interior. So the interior quality is on par with most Cadillacs. You get a good mix of leather interior components. The wood trim looks nice. I like the way the door handles kind of wrap into the hard and the soft kind of wrap into each other. Gives a nice design element. The center console is laid out clean and nice. The tilted screen I mentioned earlier. The ergonomics are all easy to reach. However, I found the buttons to take a little bit of time to get used to. I was kind of searching for things. You got this single panel sweeping across. I think one of the issues might be that I just wasn't aligned with the symbols being above the buttons. But, I think you would figure it out really quickly. I'd say by the end of the day yesterday, I was just fine with where things were. With that said, I'm not sure that the ergonomics are as good as they could be. GMC and some of the others seem to have pulled off the same design, only a little bit easier to use. And then you have this center knob control. So the thing about this center thing is I really didn't use it very much. I preferred up here, and I kind of wanted the volume control up here. So that's really overall. The interior is nice, but it isn't exquisite. It isn't special. It's just nice. All right, and then the number one thing you need to know is the price. So the starting price for this trim level, which is the luxury, starts at $34,795. Again, at that starting price, you can get a lot of those crossovers at their higher trim level, like the Ford Edge Platinum. As equipped, when you add the all-wheel drive system, the moonroof, and the updated infotainment system, you're looking at a little bit over $42,000. And then if you were to add the sport or the luxury premium package, you're into the mid 45s. And so this is it's not a cheap SUV. It is cute. It has the chunky look. My overall feeling on it is, if you like the Cadillac brand, it has adequate power. It drives nice. It's not super sporty. The interior has good features. You add the moonroof. If you added the adaptive cruise control and get it in the sport package with that blacked out grille, I think that is the way to go. But before I go, I'm going to give you 3 gripes. So the first one is this home button, which is a great idea. It allows you to go right back to the main menu, the home menu. The problem with it is where it's located, at least for me, was right where I put my hand, particularly at night when I wasn't able, to kind of see as well. I pushed that button while trying to reach for other functions, so that's a little bit annoying. The second one is they designed this for CarPlay and Android Auto. The problem is they put these USB plugs right up at the front, and there's nowhere for your wire or phone to go, so you end up with this messy, wiry mess. Not cool, Cadillac. They should have put it in here so that I can have my wire in here and it's just sticking out. They got this great little phone spot right here, but what am I supposed to do with this big wire here? I don't like that. And then the third gripe was the torque steer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you test drive the vehicle, turn the wheel all the way to the left or right, and then step on the gas, accelerate out somewhere, and you'll feel it. I found it twice to be just something I wasn't used to and wasn't expecting. I guess that comes from the turbo kind of kicking in right as you're pulling through. So it's not a safety issue or anything like that. It's just something to get used to. Hey, click that like button. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out some of my other reviews. See ya.